I guess we're bringing that back. Wait, no, my therapist told me to stop saying that. But I truly and fully hate it. Decisions were made. Did they make sense? Not so much. This Earth is fucked, basically. So exciting. Still am to decide or understand which characters are the main characters. And the best I could do activity-wise was rock. A lot of the things seemed a bit convenient for the book. Not for the characters. They make me look like a toddler, but not in like a nice Gen Z way. In like, is this person okay kind of way. Hello, hello! Welcome to June's TBR. I took a break from a TV avatar because I wanted to do a little experiment. And I used to have rainbow shelves for forever, and actually it would have been a great time to do this challenge when I had rainbow shelves, but I don't, but that's fine. That's just an extra challenge. I thought it would be really fun to find a random color generator and then throughout the month not know what my next read is until I finish the one that I'm reading, to see if that gives me an extra motivation. And seeing that June is one of the best reading months that I've had, I would say the answer is yes. I actually really enjoyed not knowing what's coming, also altering what I do, my outfits, my food, according to the color was really, really fun. So if you enjoy this video, which I know is quite long, I do apologize. If you enjoy it and you think it's fun, I can maybe do a second part at some point because I honestly just really had a lot of fun. So even if you don't enjoy it, I might do it again. The generator that I found happens to be in a wheel, and if you enjoy a good wheel experience, you honestly cannot miss with Cody's Wheel of TBR. You probably already know her, but if not, I will link her down below just because the wheel is kind of similar, but this is obviously just a simple color choice. Hers is way more in-depth and more interesting. But yeah, the idea was simple. We spin the wheel, we see what the color is, we find a read of that color that I'm kind of in the mood for, give it a chance. So because the video is quite long, I'm just gonna shut up and let you watch the experience. I hope you enjoy. Okay, it is the 2nd of June and I think it is time to get our first color. I've seen, wait, color wheel. Okay, so I found this wheel of colors and I can see actually you can get an app, so that is handy to know. You can edit the colors, but I think it's okay. I mean, like, it's kind of like a lot of very subtle sub color choices, like light, dark, you know, that kind of thing. So we'll see how difficult it is for us to actually pick that later, but hopefully it's fine. If anything, it can maybe kind of narrow it down a little bit. Let's see what the first one is. Teal. Okay. This is really gonna be hard to show because everything's gonna look like according to the white balance. Flatshare was a perfect teal read, but again, it looks blue in the camera, but just trust me. Shoot, I'm making a massive mess. You know what this? Ooh. Okay, so these are mainly all the teal books that are from my unread TBR on my physical shelves. Let me actually have a quick look on my Kindle. I don't have an overwhelming amount there, but just in case. Okay, no, I don't think so. So let me just go through the options. So first we have Witch, which is my childhood. I would love to revisit the world, but I don't know. I don't know if now is the time. Maybe actually. Another book is Paperweight. This it has to do with an eating disorder from what I remember. Possibly not the best time as I'm struggling with my own, so maybe not the best time, I don't know. Then we have The Giver. I kind of want to try it. I think it is considered a classic and I've only seen a movie, so it's a possibility as well. Then we have a book called Under Dancing Stars, because it is mainly black for the cover, but the accent color is teal. Then we have The Hating Game, which I am curious about, so another good one. I really enjoyed Cerulean Sea, but this one does deal with death more, and that excites me a little bit more. The other one was nice, but a little bit too wholesome for my liking, so I don't know if this is gonna be similar or not. Very anticipating is The Bone Shard Emperor, the second one to The Bone Shard Daughter. I really like that one. I want to go back and see what Mephi has to do with anything. However, it is like 550 pages, and I feel like because I actually have options, I probably will start with something easier just to like start it off. The other one is Adrift. I don't know too much about it, to be honest. Then we have a graphic novel called Bloom, and I believe this is queer. So that is very exciting. And at first I was like, oh, is this teal? Is this blue? It's kind of like in that manner, but then I opened it and it's definitely teal. Again, also I have color correction on my videos, and now I'm just realizing this could be interesting to watch, but just kind of like a single color accent thing, and the color is teal, so actually this would fit it really well. And then we have Player Ready 2. Ready Player 2. I've heard terrible things, so maybe not now. And the last one is also a good option, is The Last Confession of Autumn Casterly, and I think it is kind of like a mystery book. I think I'm gonna go with Bloom, because again, it's I really hope it is gay. I think it is gay. Check my wardrobe for any teal attire, but I don't know if that's gonna be an overwhelming choice. And teal for food, we'll have to try. I got 2 new mugs yesterday, and I think we really need to talk about one of them in particular, because it has this big I love it. This is technically teal, you know. We will be having coffee from a travel mug, because this is the closest to a teal thing that we really have. So what I actually wanted was an iced coffee, but there's no way an iced coffee is going to fit into that small travel mug. Finished my breakfast, but I still have my coffee and I still have my book. But what I realized though is that I need a bookmark, and that I should definitely be able to find in teal. I also have my nails a very dark teal, just so happens. Will say though that finding clothing is going to be a challenge. Actually one that we might fail at, because teal is just, especially light teal, it's just not a color I own. Let me show you my wardrobe. Very earthy tones with some like jeans. So jeans, very much blue, obviously, but that's gonna be probably the closest we can get to teal. And on this side I even have a little purple. So, and a single kind of orange with blue, it's kind of teal, but it's definitely primarily kind of orange dress. That's literally like the only color thing. A bunch of black stuff, again a jean thing. You look at the top, that's where like my jumpers are, which literally are, I think, sage green, then white and black. And my sweatshirts, which I do have a teal one, like a dark teal, like my nails. I love it to death, but it's just way too warm for it. Like I will be sweating my ass off if I wear that. And instead of clothing then, I'm gonna try and incorporate some other things, maybe an activity. Okay, bookmark wise, definitely had one with a teal. Just looking from my Patreon designs, I definitely had one with teal. Let me check in my closet. Okay, I brought a whole basket of the bookmarks. So the first one is this, which has like this lantern, and the other one, it does have a teal tassel, and is mainly really dark with this crystal. But if you look closely, the accent color in the darkness is kind of teal. But I'm gonna use this one just because of the teal tassel. Very important stuff. Okay, now I'm actually gonna go and do some reading of it. So far, the main character is just at the sister's wedding, and I've only read a couple of pages, so I'm definitely gonna go do more of that before I even get ready for the day. This is what we're kind of working with. The shirt has some blue, literally the closest we could get. I think I'm gonna swap to this necklace because there's a little bit of teal in that. I do, however, have this teal thing. I guess we're bringing that back. Hi. We're gonna go to the most teal experience we could come up with, and that is the deep sea world. So you might be thinking, well, isn't that just blue? And to that I say, not really. When you go into the photos, the most like common one is that like tunnel, you know, the one that you kind of like go through, and it's really kind of like murky. It's definitely not just like blue alone. It's with a little bit of green, which, by the way, makes it teal. So we're going into the deep sea world, and I'm taking the book for the vlog and the experience, and we're just gonna live a teal life. As for the makeup, we'll see if we can add a little bit of that. I definitely don't want to go like too over the top because I think I will look like a clown. However, I might do the clown for the vlog. We'll see. I have started. I don't know why I decided to talk while I spray my face. Idiot. Wait, no, my therapist told me to stop saying that. So, I have started reading the book, and it basically is so far about a boy that still lives with the parents but wants to move out and follow his own dreams, which is to be in a band, basically pursue music. And the father, in the fatherly ways, is like, you can, and he did say some like a little bit like hurtful things, like, oh, I wanted to study music but you couldn't afford it. And I'm like, oof, yikes, my guy. That is some way to speak to your parents. I could never. But then I think that's also like a Eastern European thing. Like, you just do not speak to your parents that way, like, at all. I don't know. And we have this band, and there's a dynamic in the band that's gonna be probably playing a big part of it. There's some dickish people, and then there's some new nice people, and a person in the neighborhood, because basically our main character, Ari, is wanting to find a replacement for the bakery, which is the family business that needs help. And he wants to find a replacement, and there's this baker boy nearby, which I'm assuming is gonna be the love interest. He seems very lovely. I think this is definitely gonna be like Heartstopper vibes, which I'm totally down for. Heartstopper was amazing. I probably enjoyed the show even more than the comics, because you get to like experience a bit more as well. Damn, my face hurts so much. For why? This one, I don't actually know how well you can see, but I truly and fully hate it. This is very far from my usual stuff. I feel like I am. Anyway, I've gone for like a wing liner instead with the color, and then I think my biggest mistake was trying to blend that together with like another lighter. I was really going deep sea, but the good news is that it's very dark there from what I can suspect. I've not actually been, so I'm quite excited because we do love that kind of stuff. Are you ready? You seem ready. Not my usual thing, but yeah, this is the teal look.
I've been walking around, waiting
Good morning. I have finished Bloom last night. Went to the deep sea world. Can confirm a lot more teal than blue. It was kind of murky in places, and it was actually much smaller than I thought, so it was a little bit like disappointing, but it was still a nice reason to like leave the house as well. I saw a lot of stingrays, and that made me happy. And then I just kind of had like a chill evening. I watched Julian's and Simply Nailogical release the nail polishes. I actually got a couple. I know there's gonna be people who were Jenna Marble fans as well here, like the Ding fam. I'm one of you if you're watching. I'm still sad. I hope she's doing okay. I was like the only YouTuber that I genuinely cried when they left. She was my Thursday, man. She was my Thursday. I just like to think that I am worthy of being like an Aldi version of Jenna and Julian with me and Logan. That is my aspiration as a human being. If only. Anyway, I have my teal pillow here. I have my teal sweater that I'm just draping over my pajamas. You know how I said that it was very similar to Heartstopper? It is, in a sense that it is kind of like a cozy gay romance book, but I do actually think the Heartstopper is better. This is what kind of pains me, because what I'm about to say will sound like I just don't like unlikable characters, and I think this was meant to present Ari in flawed ways, but it really surpassed flawed and went straight for unlikable, because I think for flawed you have to show some type of offsetting feature to combat that. Ari is very ungrateful and very spoiled and very so there are some obviously characteristics to him that are understandable, like him being young and not knowing what you want and want to, you know, not follow the path that is set to you, wanting to do your own thing. That I get. But then on top of that, he was just unnecessarily rude. He had like anger management issues, but that was never ever addressed and never improved. I think what kinda enabled this for him was the fact that he's surrounded by brilliant people. His family is so sweet. They are just your stereotypical parents, you know, can be annoying, can be strict, but they are so sweet and so forgiving. And Hector was amazing. I really liked him, and I found myself rooting for him. By the time that they actually like developed romance, which by the way also came out a little bit out of nowhere, I didn't feel any chemistry whatsoever. By the time that happened, I was actually kind of wanting better for him. Yeah, Ari had some growing up to do, or growing to do. I was really hoping for a little bit more resolution at the end, but he is surrounded by people who love him so almost unconditionally that they're willing to forgive everything at the first sign of remorse, which is fine normally, but maybe a little bit enabling for a person who is quite manipulative and a bit flaky, let's say. But then I also really loved some things about this. For example, the bakery setting, it really felt more authentic than the other... What was the other one? The one with the ice skating. Because that one was also baking. I feel like maybe they're just like, ooh, gay, baking. But I adored Hector. He was such a great character. The way that he did not let Ari walk over him and realize and recognize the signs of someone being manipulative and just simply walked away. I love that. And that's why I kind of found it interesting that they, I guess, fell in love, because they were just so different on the, but not, and you know, like anyone can be different from one another and still find someone else attractive, but it was like mentally they seemed to be on a different stages of their lives, where Hector way ahead Ari. I don't know if Ari was out before or not, but when father made a comment, it was so sweet, and it was such a dad way to say, which is basically, I don't want to actually say if you want to read it. So yeah, it was definitely great in parts, and I really love the style, like the single teal color. The cover is actually a bit more cyan, but like the inside is teal, I promise. I thought it was really unique. The art style is very nice. I really liked those parts, but I thought that this also really lacked logic in a setting, because the whole story is Ari wanting to get out of his parents' house and experience life for himself. But to do so, he needs to find a replacement for him to help the parents in the bakery. And then he finds the replacement, aka Hector. But then the months go by and he's still there. Like, he didn't stop working there and nothing happened. I guess maybe they were thinking, you know, up until he leaves, and the band never left. But he also stopped attending the band meetings. The whole reason for him wanting the replacement, it just felt like he completely disregarded what he wanted to do. But instead, like, it would make sense if he, you know, started enjoying working at the bakery, but he didn't. He kept saying how he doesn't like this and he wants something else. Obviously he enjoyed being with Hector, so maybe that, but still, like, you wouldn't just completely abandon it. Another thing was the insurance thing. Because of the faulty click, I want to kind of like be vague about this because I guess it's a spoiler, but this is the type of novel that I feel like nothing is a spoiler because you kind of know what you're getting into. Anyway, there was a fault in a thing that we acknowledge very early on, and then that is what causes the incident, and then the incident, they still get the insurance. So yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't ran it through Copile, but I anticipate 3 stars. Let me run it by Copile. Yeah, it came out as 5.93, so a 3-star. And I think that kind of sums it up. The plot was also a little bit all over the place. I don't know. Yeah, it was an odd pacing. Kind of little meaningful character development or growth, which is funny for a book called Bloom. But the artwork was delightful, the family, Hector, were just great. I would rather read something about Hector. And also I low-key found one of the friends were supposed to find annoying of Ari's, but the other 2, they were supposed to be good. Like, I also found one. Anyway, that's kind of spoilery, so I'm not gonna say, but anyway, the first one is done. I think I'm gonna try and like kind of rank the colors, see which one we had the most fun with. Okay, so let's go and actually get the wheel of color back up. I actually updated it, so it used to be what you saw, but I realized that there's a lot of colors actually missing, and I was just too excited to actually spin the wheel to notice it. So there were no blacks, whites, or even, you know, grays, nothing other than like the colors, the colorful colors, I guess. And so I added those, and I took a couple out that were just a bit too niche. I think it would be quite hard, and I still kept some, like lime. I don't know if I need to have lime in here, but I kept it. I don't know why. Decisions were made. Did they make sense? Not so much. Okay, let's spin. Oh, light gray. How exciting. Okay, I will be back with some book selections, and we'll go from there. I found some books, although light gray really sounded much easier than it ended up being. But we have some options. So the first one is City of Dusk. One thing I found out is that dark gray is much more common in the covers than the light one. This is an epic fantasy, but I don't actually feel like it at all. The next one is 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Surprisingly, this is a non-fiction, but surprisingly, it's actually really pulling me. So it is a decent possibility. I could go for a little ponder about like the world and life and all of that. So surprisingly, Do You Dream of Terra 2? Kinda mainly light gray, we're gonna go with it. Actually wouldn't mind reading this either. I do kind of feel like a sci-fi. I always kind of feel like a sci-fi. I don't think it's a competition, but basically it's someone having a very rare chance of going into a different planet than Earth, because Earth is fucked basically. So exciting. Then we have Name of the Wind for this edition, but Name of the Wind deserves a different separate vlog, so we're actually going to not go with that. Then we have what literally is kind of like a silver foil. That's another sci-fi. It's a bit of a more like a speculative, I think, but it is also substantially chunkier. But not gonna lie, this is also still a contester. Then we have Apples Never Fall, which is like a domestic thriller. I don't really feel like a domestic thriller. So similarly, Rock, Paper, Scissors, again, a domestic thriller. And then the last book is this tiny short story. It's in Lithuanian. It's translated from Italian, I believe. It's very well loved and kind of crispy at this point. And this is purely because I would be very intrigued. Read and see if I love it as much. I remember just really being into it when I was reading it, but also this author was one of my favorite. I think it's about a person who never leaves the ship and he's a pianist in there. I can't remember much. I was literally like 14, 15 years old probably. But I was in my like writing poetry stage. So it would be interesting, but potentially a very eye-opening experience and possibly cringy. Or I will read it and be like, yeah, this is actually really good. I don't know if that's gonna be too cheeky considering that my first read was a graphic novel. Out of these two, I'm currently leaning a tiny bit more towards this just because I think I kind of know about it a bit more. And now it's between these two. And I have a feeling that I could possibly read this throughout multiple months, just taking it like essay by essay. So I'm gonna put this away and then we're gonna be left with Do You Dream of Terror 2? I'm very excited to read this. Again, the reviews were very, very mixed on Goodreads, but maybe people just don't appreciate sci-fi as much. We know this. We live this. I do. So we'll see. It could possibly be, you know, like there's actual issues in the book. It's not that great, but hopefully it is. So that's our next light gray read. I was thinking of light gray stuff. I'm not wearing light gray because that in this heat is just a big sweat stain. I was thinking, you know, light gray. What's light gray? Rocks. So we're going to like a reservoir that's filled with kind of rocky ores, I guess is the word for it. Logan's bringing his iPad, our friend is bringing his paddleboard. I'm bringing actually the camera and the tripod and everything because I think I'm gonna try and film a Q&A outside. Would be quite nice. It's fairly not windy for Scotland. If I had a garden, I would film outside all the time because I just think it's so cute. And then I also brought my book because why not? Anyway. Hello, we're back here. It's actually a different day. But I wanted to let you know I'm like 60 pages into the book and actually really enjoying the beginning, especially really hooked me in. So I'm gonna sit here and do a little bit more reading, but still am to decide or understand which characters are the main characters. I guess we'll see, but I had no idea. No idea. But we're following a couple of characters and they're basically there for a program to go to Terra 2, obviously from the title. And oh, there's a bug. There's a bug. Wait. And Terra 2 is basically this like promised land. But it's funny because it's actually set in like 2012. And obviously we have no space program like that. So it's in like an alternate universe, timeline thing. But yeah, I guess we'll see. Sporting some light gray today. I want to give you a little update. It's the 9th of June and we are currently halfway through Do You Dream of Terror 2? So I don't know if I actually spoke about much as in what this is about, but it is following, I really should remember what I said, but this actually is a crossover between YA and adult. I actually went in thinking it is an adult, but then swiftly after I started reading, I went to double check because I was a tiny bit suspicious. And so it is kind of considered a crossover, I think, from what I could find. So it's about this elite kind of program that everyone who is the brightest of their generation is basically invited to, but only a couple will ever be actually allowed to go on the mission to be the first ones to get to Terra 2, which is another inhabitable planet, for when shit really hits the fan for Earth, and then you all have to move there, basically. And someone needs to start the work, someone needs to start, getting homey in Terra 2. And it's very competitive, and we get people who get selected, and we get some drama before that, but they do take off. This is one point that I wasn't actually sure if it's gonna happen, and it's not a spoiler, I don't think, because it does say kind of on the back. I just didn't read it apparently. So I'm currently like in the journey, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I did go through like points of different level of enjoyment or different level of intrigue for sure. I started really strongly, and then it kind of dipped when it started feeling a little bit like teen drama. The characters are 20, 21, 22, that kind of range. However, sometimes they really are acting childishly, but then I have to remember that 2021 is not actually that old, like at all. Some people are just very freshly, you're technically an adult, you're considered an adult, but I'm turning 30 and I feel like I'm barely scraping the adult stage, really. So I have to kind of remind myself that, but I do go in these type of stories expecting a certain level of professionalism or smarts because this is a very important program. This is so they were trained for this for their whole life. So when a character joins that was not initially supposed to join the team for a reason I don't want to mention, he says that basically everyone there is busy, too busy and resentful for him to show him around. But the way that these space programs work, you have such limited amount of people that everyone's role is crucial and everyone kind of is responsible for everyone else's life. So it's in your best interest to teach people and show them where things are. Like that is just the petty level that I don't think any professional for any reason would have a reason in that type of situation to show. So it's a little bit like, and there's already some kind of like tantrumy emotional responses that I really feel for someone who has grown up to be prepared for this particular situation and particular scenario. Obviously there might be struggles and emotional turmoil, but the amount that we're getting sometimes really takes me out of the story because I feel like that's just so unrealistic. It's almost sounds like you have just picked out some of like high school kids thrown in a ship with very minimal prep, which camera died, so I don't know if the angle changed, but so that kind of stuff really takes me out of the story. But I understand that there needs to be drama. I just think for the setting it makes me really kind of like, the suspension of disbelief is definitely poking the head in. That is by far the biggest issue with this book. Other than that, I am really enjoying it. I'm halfway through and I've literally read like a very big chunk in one evening, which doesn't happen to me very often because I normally take breaks and that's how I get distracted. So it's boding well. It's just that some of the stuff just seems so unrealistic for the situation they're in. Like, this is such an important mission. The whole humanity is watching them and they're acting like children who are completely untrained sometimes. And I can already tell that whoever was the psychologist and doing the assessments missed so much that I have no idea how they got that job in that particular project. It just seems ridiculous. But I like the writing, actually. I think this is a debut novel, so it is quite impressive. I do think that for the writing, whilst it is simple, sometimes it's kind of like poignant, and I like the style of it, I guess. The topic matter is obviously something that is very close and dear to my heart, so I'm already giving points for that. And I really love those themes that we're exploring about leaving everything behind. Like, how do you say goodbye to someone for the very last time when both of you continue to be alive but unable to ever be together? We follow these kids saying goodbye to their family. I shouldn't say kids, they're technically adults, but they do be acting like kids, so we follow them saying goodbye, and it is made even more difficult because some of them really don't have a good relationship with their parents, but you don't have an awful one either, or you make a lot of allowances because they're your parents. So I do think that there's a lot of... So there is some nuance, which is my favorite thing. I actually probably should change something in Copile to nuance, because I hate when topics are discussed from an oversimplified view. I just don't like that. And whereas there's probably cases here as well, we definitely do go into some other aspects of the story with a little bit of nuance, which always had and always will at points in my book. And obviously emotionally and psychologically leaving Earth behind at such a young age and spending the exact same amount that you've been alive on Earth on a ship before you actually get to Terra 2, because I think it's like something like 21 years, so for some people probably more than they've been alive, because I think one girl is having a birthday for her 20th. It's such a weird concept, and it's such a hard pill to swallow, and even though you obviously are preparing for that, once it actually starts happening and it becomes a step you cannot change your mind about because you're already in space and like Earth is becoming a smaller dot in the sky. Whilst I enjoy a lot of the mental health stuff there thrown in, I can already see hints for more stuff to come in with that as well. And we're also dealing with grief as a group, so it's definitely interesting. I just do think that for the seriousness of the situation and the uniqueness of the program, you would expect a little bit better tools to be in place to handle all of that, but we definitely don't have better tools. We are just, yeah, so interesting. We'll see if that changes at all, and we'll see where we go. We also get this, like, obviously from the title, dream thing, which is going into a little bit of almost like a fantasy side, so I'm intrigued to see if that's gonna go anywhere or if it's just in the head, so we'll see. But so far so good. With color gray is getting a little bit higher, I think, than the light blue, no, not light blue, teal, sorry. So in the board it might actually overtake it. However, I did go to the shops in the hopes of getting some sort of gray things to live with, and unsurprisingly, I don't think that light gray is the most eye-catching color. So it's not very marketable. And the only things that you can really get that are light gray are like Diet Cokes and like butter. It's literally just that. So when it comes to food and packaging, I don't think we're gonna get a lot of exciting stuff with the gray. And the best I could do activity-wise was rock. So here we are. Hello, I have finished our gray color. I am sat in all gray again, and with a little bit of red. This jumper still counts because it does have mainly a gray back, just so you know. It is time for us to review our gray book, put it somewhere in the scale on the board, the leaderboard. I actually really enjoyed it. It was much darker than I anticipated it going in. It really escalated and became darker and darker progressively, I would say. It's not necessarily like super dark, but it's definitely not a cheery read if you're going into it expecting it to be that way. It is primarily about the journey and psychology of how to accept leaving Earth behind, and you know how I was complaining about the fact that these people were selected, and I felt like this is the whole program, like what are they doing? Why is the selection not a better preparation process for these people who are still seem to be very emotionally inept to deal with a situation that everyone knew was coming? I just thought it was odd. And there continue to be situations where I kept having these thoughts. But I will say something happened later on that kind of explained perhaps a little bit, or at least acknowledged the fact that I wasn't the only one thinking that way, and that really, really helped with the rating, because I felt like as long as there at least an attempt at explanation of why this is happening, it makes a whole bunch of difference. At one point we are introduced with at one point I did say I think there is this one aspect of the book that I thought would be almost like fantastical, and there was a little bit of a religious obsession or like a cult obsession, and I wish we actually leaned more into that because it was kind of left behind. That also sums up some other aspects of this book. I think things and themes would be brought up and introduced and talked about briefly, but not really explored too much, and then we would go into the mundane stuff. So I actually really enjoy those themes, and I wish we had a little bit more exploration into them. I felt like a lot of the things were a little bit watered down or not polished enough. So I feel like this book could have, in my personal opinion, be a little bit better with a little bit more polishing around those themes and a little bit more structure, because I felt like it did a lot of things, but at the same time it didn't do a lot of things. I can see why some people reading this book would get quite bored, because a lot of things, like not a lot of things happen, and that suits me fine, but not a lot of themes get explored during those times of not a lot of things happening. So you just kind of have to be there for the ride, and the ride is messy, and the ride is bit complicated, but I did overall enjoy it. It was 4-star, actually came out as a 4-star. I think it was 7.07 or something like that, so just 4 stars, not 4.5, but I definitely enjoyed reading it. I actually found the writing style to be quite nice, so if this author has written anything else, I might pick it up. I don't know if this is the first book by theirs. The pacing was a little bit off sometimes. Again, the themes were just left there. A lot of the things seemed a bit convenient for the book. Not for the characters, but for the book. It's so hard to compare because Bloom was completely different, and obviously it's like a graphic novel as well, but I think I'm gonna put this above it. I think I will be thinking about this more. I think Bloom will be one of those that is quite forgettable in my brain, actually. More excitingly, for me, it is time to spin the wheel. I don't even know what I'm actually hoping for. One of like colorful colors, I think, because we were in the gray. After that, it would be good to get like cream so I could put them when you read it. Oh. A deep purple. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Okay, I have actually so many options for this. So first of all, I actually have redone the prompt a little bit because I don't think I meant to kind of keep it. But I renamed it Cool Purple rather than Deep Purple. Because when I started picking my choices, I realized that that is probably going to be an easier distinction rather than the other one. We are going for the cool tone purple. So we're thinking anywhere from light lilac to deep cool purple. So I have quite a stack, so let me just show you. We have Diviners, the first one. Then we have Viper, Defy the Night. We have Howl's Moving Castle, which could definitely also go for green as well. The King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, which is in Folk of the Air trilogy, kind of like a novella thing, which is kind of tempting because it has illustrations. Then this one that could definitely also fit in a pink prompt, but it does go into this purple, cool purple territory, like a lilac. We have Gods of Shade and Shadow. We have The Galaxy and the Ground Within, that also could definitely go into a navy category, so I might maybe save it for that in case we get that. We have Dune, which, by the way, spoiler alert, definitely not picking for this vlog because I do actually plan on finishing this in June. We have Embarrassment of Witches, which has various shades of purple, goes a little bit into pink and blue. It is also primarily kind of light purple shades inside, so it's a little bit like what we had with Bloom, And I am very tempted to put in another graphic novel because it was just fun. And again, like the color choice is just perfect because it's literally the ones we're meant to find, which I've heard great things about. Again, could have Aurora Rising, which I just don't feel like reading. And we have The Last, which also could be a potential because it's a thriller. So to like kind of mix it up a bit. I think these are ones I'm gonna put aside for now.
7 hours later.
Okay, I've made the decisions. But yeah, this is our official read, and I think it definitely fits when you like open it up and see inside. I actually don't know anything about this one probably. So it'll be interesting to see what the plot is actually about. And again, we're probably not gonna linger on it too much because it's a graphic novel, which is great. I'm gonna go acquire some sustenance and hopefully cool purple hues. And I think I'm either going to sit and read or I'm just gonna try and watch more Killing Eve, not gonna lie, but we'll try. I found this person who does color-based Spotify playlist, which is great, and I'm listening to the Lilac. What I realized happened is that a lot of purple things are kind of like given just for like chocolate things, and I try to avoid chocolate as one of my possible triggers. I technically can, so I did get the Netflix and chill one. I got the mask though, very excited. I am just feeling extremely lonely and isolated from people, from the book community, from just life. I'm just not doing well today. I'm just not doing well today. I got this, so we're still in lavender because I still haven't read what I was supposed to read. So we're going to, I put on my lavender dungarees. Are kind of comfort. They make me look like a toddler, but not in like a nice Gen Z way. In like, is this person okay kind of way. Which no, this person is not okay. Thank you very much for asking. It's summer. And one of my favorite Lithuanian meals, summer meals, which is not exclusive to Lithuania, but like that region, is this cold beetroot soup. Super bizarre for anyone outside of that region. Not appetizing in the slightest. When made, it is light, kind of like lilac, like light beetroot. And it is such a massive comfort food, so I am going on my lunch. And that is what I plan on doing. Zeus. I still have my mum's beetroot that needs to be used, so this is all just fine. It's all fine. Okay, so I think it's very telling that it took me like a week to read this book. Honestly, it was kind of embarrassing how little I cared about reading and picking this book up. Not only that, but it absolutely broke and it's falling apart. So it is a endearing, nice story, don't get me wrong. It's about a girl that doesn't have everything sorted, which is nice to read when you're also, you know, one of the people who doesn't have things sorted. It's reassuring, it's nice to see, and it's just kind of, it's all about, you know, friendships and navigating those and romance, and when you're young and you're afraid to commit to what the next plan is, and handling things not the best. So I always do like that. I like ourselves also, like, not necessarily a very likable main character. I think it adds spice. This is my version of spicy, but this one came out somehow still very bland. I feel like there was just not enough of things. I can tell that whoever wrote this put a lot of thought into this quirky type of magic system and the world. It felt like you definitely are there. I think the world building was definitely the strongest part of this, but overall it just felt like it was a little bit of nothing. I know it's like a slice of life kind of thing, but it just didn't feel good. Like I didn't care enough, and I didn't feel that our main character, like I didn't believe our main character's kind of intentions or even feelings. It was just not very immersive, despite the fact that the world felt really fleshed out. So it wasn't terrible, but it's definitely, but I think the fact that I just it's a comic. I thought I'm gonna sit and fly through this, but I'm literally here. Maybe it wasn't a week, but definitely like at least 4 days later. I genuinely have finished it now because I'm gonna do my hair. I'm gonna go wash my hair, and then I want to have like an audiobook to listen to when I do it. And that is the reason why I actually decided to go ahead and finally finish it. And I mean, it's not terrible, but I just feel like I didn't gain anything. And by that, I mean that I didn't gain too much enjoyment either, because I don't think that every book has to change your life, or, you know, you don't have to gain knowledge and stuff like that. If you gain enjoyment, that's just as valid. I just don't think I did. So again, it was fine, and my absolute favorite part was obviously the animal familiars. They were sassy, they were good. The owl genuinely just did not want to put up with the main character, whose familiar it is. So that was kind of funny, and I enjoyed the attitude, not gonna lie. And it's nice kind of seeing animal familiars just be completely kind of just non-committal. I think it was cute. And I actually think if the friend, like the best friend, was the main character in the book, that it could have been a bit better. But anyway, the only thing matching purple today is my face, so it's been very warm. I think this came out as 2 stars, but let's go see what the next color is. I can just do that. I don't know why I was it's reflecting. What is that? Cream. Okay, I know. I'm not gonna even like make a thing, because this is gonna be our Patreon feed. A little bit afraid because I don't know how much I will be into it. And I was gonna read this regardless of if this came up or not, but now that it did, might as well. Hi. So many days later, I finished this, and the entire experience is actually a separate vlog, and my parchment activity was a big one. My literally third vacation since 2011, but I did film some of it for how that went, and the reason if it's parchment so well is that we stayed in what previously used to be an abbey, but not only that, the rooms that we were staying in used to be a scriptorium, which is basically where they wrote on said parchment. It just really worked out well. I'm not gonna speak too much about the book because I do give a little bit of an update in that vlog, but this one's a bit hard to rate. The story is about a girl who is, as the title would suggest, daughter of the Pirate King. She lets herself be captured and gets into this crew on a secret mission, pretending to be captured, and she tries to retrieve something whilst not giving away her true mission, and she's the only lady on deck and is treated unfairly because of that. As I said in the other vlog, I do think that everything really just revolved around like sex. There were threats that something would happen if she was left alone, and it was kind of challenged, and I guess it fits the setting, but it was also just a lot of her power stemmed from there, which is I'm like conflicted about, because I feel like there could have been a bit more nuance to it, but then also like it seems that like checks out, sadly. I found it quite repetitive, but there were some good kind of humorous bits. It wasn't painful to read in a sense that the prose was very easy, but it was sometimes painful to read because it was a bit cringy. So I don't know. It came out as 3 stars. I think it was 5 point something. It came out as 5.14, and this then takes a 3rd spot. So not the worst, not the best. It's definitely something that I will forget, but also wouldn't mind reading the second one just because it is a duology and it's such an easy read. And it does have some fun parts. Any type of value, substance, or enough enjoyment for me to like wholeheartedly recommend it to people. But I actually kind of want to maybe find more pirate reads, which bodes well for the second book of The Lies of Locke Lamora, actually, because that one I do hear has a lot of piracy themes and was actually one of the reasons why I didn't want to pick it up. But now actually would be a perfect time to kind of try it. Not in this vlog, because I think that might take a while. Sometime soon. It's giving me motivation for that. But speaking of, let's see what's our next thing. Red. That almost went into pink, but it's red. Have I not had red? No, I didn't have red. Okay, gotcha. But behind me, I have a bunch of unread red books. That sounds unhinged. Unread, red in color books. So first we have Blood and Honey, which is a sequel to Serpent and Dove, which immediately is just gonna be no. I just know it's not gonna be. Then we have this, which is super beautiful, but I don't actually know much about, so I could put it in a maybe. We have Dear Martin, which is also a contender. I'm gonna put it in a middle maybe ground. Heartstream, which would be, but I don't think now is the right time because it's very, like, it deals a lot with illnesses and grief and stuff like that. So I think we're gonna put it on no. Keeper of Lost Cities, actually gonna go into a maybe, but it's definitely leaning no because I don't know if I want a middle grade. Again, sorry. Mortal Coil. It did sound kind of interesting and it did survive so many unhaul sessions, like by a smidgen. Basically, Corona though. It's basically Corona, but make it, you know, like a zombie pandemic. Also not sure if this is the best time to read it. Similarly with Legendborn, I wasn't, but I'm gonna put it in a maybe. Have been wanting to read that. The Mime Order, but I would probably mainly call this a white box. The Library of the Unwritten. This I do really want to read, and I am tempted to kind of pick, but I do know it's not an easy read or not a quick read, and we don't have an enormous amount of time left. Battle Royale, definitely want to read, but not this time. Another one, very strong contender, is The Shadow of Kyoshi. We have Anatomy, a love story. We have Small Great Things. And another definite not now is this. I forgot to look at my to read shelf, like the priority kind of place. And Die Volume 3 has been in my TBRs for months and I just never got to it. And it is again like 50-50 black and red, but we're gonna count it and we're gonna go with it because I just been sat here for like 10 minutes and none of these books like truly speak to me currently. Whilst also all of them, you know, I want to read eventually, but just like mood-wise, not so much. And even mood-wise for this, maybe I'm slumping. But anyway, we're gonna go with the comic. I think I need something to like visually go through, especially because Thought of the Pirate King was mainly in an audio read, so I think it just kind of balancing out. Okay, so red is obviously for strawberries. So we have secured the goods. And I am wearing my most red shirt. That also counts. But yes, we have procured some delicious looking strawberries. And I have already started Die Volume 3. Probably have heard me talk about this unless you are new here, in which case, hi, hello. How is it going? Basically a Jumanji and D&D vibes put together. So we have a bunch of people that come together in a group and they started playing this game and it transformed them into this different land. However, 6 went away and only 5 came back. After, I think, 20 years or something like that. They're now in their 30s or 40s. And they've all kind of moved on with their lives and they have their own stuff going on. But we're back, and they have again gotten stuck into this world, and this is volume 3, so I'm obviously not gonna say anything else. I adored the first one so much. I was absolutely obsessed. I was having just such a blast reading that. The second one was a little bit disappointing, so that was kind of a shame. It really went kind of convoluted, and I didn't understand why such characters existed that we were introduced to, which I'm still not a big fan of, and the theme of that kind of carries on into this one. I am not quite halfway through actually, but I am sitting down now to read more of this and finish it, I think, and I would like to get another book squeezed into this month, and it's probably going to be the last one. But I am enjoying it more than the second volume, so it's good. We'll see. I'm gonna see how we're gonna continue. Still sometimes get a little bit confused as to like where this is going, like what's their point, and sometimes it seems a bit too complicated for its own good. Nowhere near as monstrous. That was just very questionable and too much. This one's not on that level, like I follow it, but I do wish some stuff was just a bit more straightforward, I guess. Hello. So I have finished I don't think I ran it by Copile, but I do think it's probably gonna be 3-star. So it wasn't my favorite again, but it was better than the last volume, I think. It was still way more interesting than the last one was just really not a hit for me. But it didn't quite get me as excited as the first volume did. So I think it's kind of safe to say that this is not going to be my all-time favorite series, but we did actually back RPG tabletop game on the Kickstarter campaign. I can't speak. And I'm very excited about that, and I still will continue with this. I just feel like I need to lower down my expectations. I think that sometimes it would just go on a little bit too long on kind of almost like strategic play that they're doing, but I was more so invested in the emotional happenings, especially the stuff that they brought back from the previous game, and also their personal lives behind the door of this game. There were glimpses that we were still focusing on that, and those were my favorite parts, and I think that definitely shows that that's what I was kind of looking for. And percentage-wise, it was probably only 10% of the whole thing. So if we start getting more of that, it is still possible that it's going to be like a 5-star read at some point, but I do just wish we focused a little bit on the direction that we had in the first volume. That was just so good, and this is a bit, I don't know, you know? The artwork continued to be great. I really enjoyed that, so no complaints there, but I still probably enjoyed it a bit more than Bloom. Or maybe Liz? It is currently 26th. I want to get one more color in June, and hopefully that still happens. So, we got the wheel prepared. Is that green? Green! I'm probably not gonna collect all of the books because I'm tired. I don't have energy for that, but I'll come back with some viable options. Looks bluish on camera, but it's literally the greenest thing. Surprisingly, actually, not a lot of green books in general on the shelves. Not a thing. So I know I said I'm gonna only bring a couple of options, but I actually pretty much brought all of the ones that were legit options. We have mainly for this side, but and the spine is green, but it's one of the Terry Pratchett books. I want to start with a different one in Discworld, so this one was kind of no. That I almost picked, and that was The Air Affair, which I really want to try at some point, but I think I want to read Jane Eyre first, and I know, I'm not ready yet. I feel like I should. Then I had Jade City, another one I really want to read. It's a big one, and I really want to take my time with it, and I just don't think I have the time I want to take with it now, currently. So that was a no. And this one was actually, this was like the closest I wanted to pick this up ever. Luckily, I have Legends and Lattes. And yes, this is kinda mainly brown, but actually there's a green hue around here as well, as our main character being an orc, hence green. So we're gonna go with it and we're gonna read Legends and Lattes. I'm very excited. This is a kind of cozy slice of life read about an orc that basically decides that, you know, killing is not for her and she wants something else. So she has her own girl boss moment and starts a pub, pretty much, I think, like a tavern. On the back it says, high fantasy with a double shot of self-reinvention. Worn out after decades of packing steel and raising hell, Viv, the orc barbarian, cashes out of the warrior's life with one final score. A forgotten legend, a fabled artifact, and an unreasonable amount of hope led her to the streets of Dune, where she plans to open the first coffee shop, not a pub, the city has ever seen. And I think adorable. So I'm actually very excited. Let's finish this strongly. So we're hoping for at least 4 stars, 4.5, maybe 5. This genuinely looks like an orc drink, so, you know, cheers. Hello, let us finish the project with our last color, obviously green. I actually did go and did a lot of green activities, so we went to a forest. There's grass outside. I just didn't film it. But anyway, the Legend and Lattes. It was actually just so chill. The chillest of the chill books. It was such low stake situation. I would definitely recommend the audiobook. It is actually narrated by the author himself. And it really is what it sounds. It's just an orc going and living their dream that doesn't quite fit the stereotype of an orc. Together with a succubus who joins her. It may be a love story, it may not be a love story, who knows? Go take it and read it. And it honestly was really chill. I do understand why some people could possibly be very bored of it. I think it came at the right time for me. It was very like nice to just put it on whilst I was doing things and busy. It really doesn't take a lot of focus to enjoy this. So similarly how I said for The Daughter of the Pirate King, but this I would pick any day because it was just more wholesome. It's all about finding your family, and like found family is a big trope of this. It's like a big focus of it as well. So if you're into that and you really want something so non-committal, really stress-free, and just kind of cozy and wholesome, this is it. And even though it looks quite big, the audiobook I think is like 6 hours. That's at like 1 speed. And I know people normally listen to a higher speed. I would really recommend it. It was just like a really good time. I will keep an eye and see if there's anything else by the author or in a similar genre. I think the closest I can think of would be TJ Klune. But even then, this is even more like a localized type of story. Really doesn't span out further from the little village and the cafe. Although I will say you will probably get hungry, and if you have a sweet tooth, then snacks will be required. It's done. I'm actually filming this way into July, but we don't need to talk about that. I thought that it was a very interesting experience. I definitely found it motivating, so I would highly recommend if you want to mix it up, because this is a very easy thing to do. That I did realize as well that apart from Die comic, Like, all the other books were so far on my TBR that I don't know when and if I would have read them. So this is definitely something that pushes you outside of what you think you're gonna read. Because again, I definitely read books that I wouldn't have read if not for the project. And I'm actually really glad for it. We didn't, unfortunately, quite get a 5-star, but we did get 2 4-star reads, and that is a big win. Definitely the weakest of the bunch, unfortunately, was The Embarrassment of Witches. It is really unfortunate and it's quite sad. There are definitely aspects of it that could have worked better, but it was not for me. Followed by Daughter of the Pirate King. It was just a little bit too surface and a little bit too flaky and repetitive for my liking. Middle of the road we had Bloom, a beautiful story, just the main character lack of growth was infuriating, but otherwise it had definitely some cute aspects and that's a sweet love romance. Then we have volume 3, which I have already misplaced. I don't know what it is. I keep always putting them somewhere I cannot find. You will rarely spot me in a video talking about Die or holding the correct volume. Just a random fact for you. An improvement from the second one, but just does not reach what it was to begin with, so probably not gonna be my favorite, but it's fine. And then the top 2, where these both came out so close, it was like 0.20 points in between of them, and technically Legends and Lattes actually won. But it's funny because if I had to just like pick one to recommend to people, I might actually pick this one. First of all, this could be a little bit niche and could be considered boring very easily. Totally understand. There's like no action. It's literally just like hanging out with characters. It is a very short read for that reason. I think if it were longer, then it would not work as well as it did. I think the reason this scored lower is because it was quite flawed in places. I think there were things that didn't quite work and things were not as polished as it felt that it was in here. So it's interesting between these two. I probably would still pick this as my favorite, but this one came up just a little bit higher. But both of them were very, very good reads and definitely the favorite of the lot. Team Light Gray, so boring. And Team Green has won. Maybe I should do a whole reading vlog where I just read green books though, because that is what came up at the top. I don't know, let me know. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you are wanting to do this as well, because it's fun. I would recommend. And I will see you with the next video very soon. Bye!